There are many applications where you want to have a lot of cameras and connect them all sorts of different ways, from robots to cars.
Right.
Could you tell us a little bit about the technology that we're looking at here?
Yeah, so here today we have our VS775S and VS776Q, which is our quad deserializer and serializer. Say you're at the back left bumper of a car and you've got 3 cameras, and you need those cameras to send all their data up to the front of the car, and you need the same thing over on the left side of the bumper and the front side of the bumper and the left front side of the bumper. You've got a lot of zones. So what we're showing here is what we call a zonal aggregator, where you'll have say up to 3 cameras in one zone, and then we'll use our aggregator to collect all that data together onto one line, and it's much easier to run that one single cable up to the front of the car. So now we only have a front left, front right, back left, back right cable that's got to go up to the front of the car, and it's just one coaxial cable, which is very easy to manage when you're designing a car. What I have here are 3 different camera manufacturers, and each of these boxes here, you'll have the manufacturer's imager, and then within that box as well, we'll have our single serializer, which is the ASA VS775S. So that's one sensor and then one VS775, and through each of these cables, we can then aggregate the data into our quad aggregator, as we'll call it in this scenario. And then once these 3 cameras are aggregated here, we can then send it over one aggregated link up to our head module, where again we have a single deserializer that could talk to the head unit. But again, if we were in a real world application with a car, you might have this as the back left bumper, back right bumper, front left bumper, front right bumper, and they're all talking to a quad. Now we have 4 zones, and we then aggregate those 4 cables up to another one of these quads. And instead of using the 4th port on the quad for, say, the long haul, we can now use that 4th port for another aggregated zone. So now we got 4 zones all coming together to this head unit. And that collects all 3, 6, 9, 12 zones of cameras into one little control unit at the front.
Okay. Now, what type of protocol are you using on that cable?
So on that cable, we are using what's called ASA ML, which is the Automotive Serdes Alliance Motion Link protocol. Yeah.
Now, what is that capable of doing? Is it for high-resolution cameras?
Yeah.
Is it something that you can put power across? What advantages do you have with this over some other approach?
So, as you said, power. Yes, we can do power over coaxial, which is what you're going to need. You don't want to have power straight to every single one of those cameras. You want to be able to power over the cable. You don't need to power it individually on each camera. Now, what camera sensors? You can have up to a 4K sensor on each of these camera modules. And then each of these links can do up to 8 gigabits per second from the camera down to the quad aggregator. And then you also might need to talk back with your sensor. So we also use that same single cable to talk back to the sensor. And this is done through sort of a time sharing, where about above 90% of the time used on the cable is camera data being sent to the front central control unit. And then the rest of the time you're saying, talking back to the sensor, change your, the brightness, change this, change the color scheme, whatever it is. So small control signals can be sent back to those camera modules on that one cable. Again, saving costs in building that car.
Okay. Now, obviously, our demonstration here, the chips on both sides, on the camera and the aggregator and the receiver at the other end, the head end, are all microchip.
Yes.
But because you're using this protocol, you'd effectively use a camera from any source that's going to be using this standard.
Yes, that's again why we like this open standard. We have our chip, which could be up at the front in the head control unit, but we can talk with any other camera manufacturer. They can, as long as it's built on the ASA ML standard, which is the open standard, it doesn't matter who we're talking to. We've all agreed to the same specs and regulations that it gives more options for our customers to pick this part, that part. We all talk together, making the end product easier to build.
Well, thank you for filling us in on the ASA ML and some applications where it can be used.
Great, thank you very much. Nice to meet you.